Hi, my name is Nikki Lerzak. I'm the Instructional Services Librarian at Genesee Community College, and this is Chicago Citation Style. This tutorial is going to cover basic book and journal article, footnote, and bibliography entries. And we're going to start with a basic book footnote example. You will notice that only the first line is indented and the whole footnote is single-spaced. You will see that single spacing tends to be the theme between footnotes and bibliography entries in Chicago. They don't double-space those. You'll notice our footnote starts with a number 1. This is, we're pretending, the first footnote of our paper. And we start with an author. Authors always come first, no matter what, and they tend to be formal. You're doing footnotes, so first name and then last name, as you would write a person's name regularly. After your author comes the title of your book, and similar to MLA, you will notice that the important words or the major words have been capitalized, and in Chicago, if you have a book title, you italicize the book title to help it stand out. After the title, I've got publisher information. So I've got New York, Columbia University Press, 2001. And finally comes the exact page number from which this footnote is referring to. So if you're quoting something or you're paraphrasing, you do have to end with the page that that information comes from. You will notice that a footnote uses commas to separate out its elements. So after the author's name comes a comma, after the title and publisher information comes a comma. In Chicago, the publisher and title are considered a lumped together item, so that's why there is no comma after the title. The publisher information does get set apart, though, by the parentheses, so that helps it keep itself together a little apart from the title. At the end of my footnote comes a period. Hand in hand with our footnote, we would need a bibliography entry. Of course, unless your instructor has required you to not use a bibliography. So if your instructor says not to use this, do not include one. Different from the footnote, you will notice that only the first line is not indented. It is up against the edge where the other two lines are indented. Still, we are single-spaced though. As I said before, we start with an author, but you'll notice what's happened to our author is that we have flipped it. So where she was before Kathleen J. Bragdon, she's now Bragdon, Kathleen J. Last name and then first name, because bibliographies are alphabetized according to authors' last names or first words if you have something that does not have an author. After our author comes the title of our book. Still, major words are capitalized and it is still italicized. After the title comes publisher, yet again, where, who, and when. And you'll notice now where before the footnote had commas to separate out the little elements between them, in the bibliography we get period. So after the author comes a period. After the title now we have a period because there are no parentheses for the publisher information, so they are broken up. So title gets a period, and then at the very end, after the publisher and date, comes a period. You'll notice what's not there. When you are citing a book footnote, you do, of course, want to include the specific page that your information comes from. The bibliography, on the other hand, is not interested in the page numbers of your book, so we don't include page numbers when you're doing a book bibliography entry. For articles coming from databases like JSTOR and others, of course, the first question to ask yourself is always what kind of an article do you have, because each of them are slightly different. We're going to take a look at a journal article from the database JSTOR. Just like the other footnote, again, the first line is indented, and because this is our quote-unquote second footnote, you'll notice it's a number 2, so we're kind of pretending we're doing a paper here, so this would be our number 2 footnote. And again, we are, of course, single-spaced. We start with our author, yet again, normally, because footnotes are in a normal order. The title of an article is a little different from the title of a book. We still capitalize the important words, but this time instead of italicizing them, we've put them in quotation marks. That says, I'm an article. After the title of the article comes the name of the journal or the source of your article, and that is also capitalized primarily the way book titles and article titles are capitalized, so important words are capitalized, and that's in italics. Following the name of the journal comes the volume number, which is followed by the letters NO period, and then the issue number. No stands for the word number, so they have said put no period and then include your issue number. That's followed by the year of publication. And then again, because this is a footnote, remember footnotes are specific. Exactly where are you referring to? You need to include a page number. At the end of your citation, you want to put the DOI or stable URL for your article if it comes with one of those. If it doesn't have a DOI or a stable URL, use the document or accession number or ID that is provided by the database for that specific article. Just like the book footnote, all of our different elements are separated by commas, so after the author is a comma, after the title is a comma, after the page numbers is a comma, and finally at the very end there is a period. The bibliography entry for this journal article, again, because it's a bibliography entry, the first line is not indented, but the lines afterwards are, and, of course, we are single-spaced. And just like in the book bibliography entry, our author does that flip. So now we go to the last name, comma, first name version of it. Following that is the title, once again, of our article, the same way it was, important words capitalized, again in quotation marks because it's an article. After that, again, big words capitalized, but this time in italics comes the name or the source of our article, what journal it was published in. This is followed by our volume number, that NO period followed by the issue number, then our year of publication for the article, and different from our footnote, we include the start and end pages. When you are citing a book, you do not include the whole pages of the book in your bibliography entry, but for an article, because they aren't as long as books generally, you do include the start and end page of your article. Lastly comes that DOI or stable URL or the document or accession number or ID that is specific to your article. Just like in the book bibliography, you'll notice we have periods in between our different parts. So after my author is a period, after my title is a period, after the page numbers comes a period, and at the very end also comes a period. If you have any questions at all about creating book or journal article citations, please do not hesitate to get in touch with a librarian through either the library's Ask a Librarian page on our website, or please come in person or give us a phone call.